Welcome!
Now lately I've been getting into the work of the legendary Shotaro Ishinomori, who if you don't know is one of the most iconic mangakas to have ever lived, but also someone whose work has impacted multiple facets of both Japanese and worldwide pop culture, creating the first Japanese superhero team with Cyborg 009, kickstarting two of the biggest tokusatsu franchises of all time being Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, and even outside the superhero genre has many acclaimed series in sci-fi and mystery, which is why today I decide I will recommend two of his classic superhero series being Android Kikaider and Inazuman. Now if you're someone who's not used to the style of older manga, I still strongly suggest you give these two series a try, as it does grow on you pretty quickly with its unique style and impressive paneling. Not only that, once you embrace it, you'll be treated to fantastic superhero series with a lot to get into. But with that, let's start off with Android Kikaider, and at least for now, focus more on the original 70s manga, which follows the humanoid android named Jiro, who is created uniquely with the conscious circuit, which gives Jiro the ability to simulate human emotions in order to tell right from wrong. Jiro is tasked with a mission to protect the children of his late creator, Dr. Komyoji, from the android forces of the Dark Organization led by Komyoji's ex-partner, Professor Gill, which Jiro must do by transforming into Kikaider. However, this is much more than a basic old-school superhero story, as Kikaider goes through many struggles throughout the series, as his conscious circuit isn't fully complete, meaning that it can be exploited by someone with the right know-how. Not only that, the series goes on and asks the question if Jiro's conscious circuit is a blessing or curse, since while it does make him able to avoid taking evil orders and know who to protect, but at the same time, is it right for something not human to feel human emotions? As well as the struggles one must go to through feeling human but rejected by humans due to being a machine, while also being rejected by machines for being too human. The series has various deep moments that take a look at this concept, as well as a pretty dark ending which caught me off guard. That being said, while this manga has its darker and deeper moments, it still is a 70s series. And that means there will be a lot of what I can only describe as 70s craziness, as there's dinosaurs, various out there monsters and hero designs, as well as boob lasers. Man, you just gotta love the boob weaponry of the 70s. Also, let's not forget that in the manga, almost everything is a damn robot. The dinosaurs are robots, the statues are robots, the monsters are robots, the animals are robots, hell, even the people are robots sometimes. Then we have one of the franchise's standout characters being the villain Kikaider, an android built to fight Kikaider, who no matter what adaptation always looks cool and may or may not have been an inspiration for Darth Vader. There's a bit of controversy around that whole deal. Regardless, he's still fucking awesome. Anyways, the original manga is a very fun superhero story that's able to offer a lot more outside its old school action and heroics, and it's all there in just 6 volumes, so it's a pretty fast read and definitely well worth it. However, along the manga, we have the 2000s anime being Kikaider the Animation, and its sequel Kikaider 01, which follows very closely to the manga, even going as far as to stay true to Ishinomori's original style. However, the anime does offer a lot more, making the story more concise and adding a few original episodes and moments to the series that are just as good, if not better than the original. Though sadly this meant taking out a few great moments like Kikaider fighting dinosaurs, Jiro going on a bit of a solo adventure in order to figure out how to accept himself, which does happen in the anime though a bit differently. Both are done in pretty well executed ways, but perhaps the most sad omission from the original manga is a scene where Jiro is confronted by a young man with a broken leg, tricked into trying to kill him. The way this whole situation is resolved makes for a very emotional and heroic moment. Despite that scene being excluded, the anime still has a whole lot more emotional moments to it, diving a lot deeper into the philosophy of Kikaider, as well as an ending that is made so much more impactful. While I do recommend checking out both the anime and manga, I mean, they're both pretty short, like a 6-volume long manga, and then when combined, the anime is around 17 episodes, plus a bonus which we'll talk about later. But if you had to only pick one, I would definitely recommend the anime for expanding on a lot of the philosophy of the series, as well as its much more impactful ending. To my surprise, Kikaider the animation was dubbed and shown on Adult Swim, though I guess not too surprising considering they also did air the 009 Cyborg Soldier anime at one point. And I have to say, the dub is really solid here and what I decided to go with during my viewing of the anime. Even with the anime and manga, there's still a lot more Kikaider to go around, as in the 70s, Kikaider was made into a tokusatsu series, which is how the series really broke out and became popular. Now, I haven't seen that much of the Toku, but it's pretty much the standard monster of the week, with Kikaider fighting a new evil android in an episodic format. Kamen Rider Gaim fans may have already recognized Kikaider, as there was a crossover episode with Gaim in order to promote the Kikaider reboot movie, which was actually called Android Kikaider Reboot. Well, okay then, I'm pretty sure there could have been a better name for that. The movie itself is alright, the suit designs are absolutely fantastic, and while I think the final fight was a bit too long, it did have loads of cool moments within. But outside that, the movie didn't have that much to offer. Barely any of the deep moments of Kikaider are present here, making it much more of a standard superhero flick, which is a bit disappointing considering what this series really is about, and I felt that some of the character changes made here were very disappointing. However, a better Kikaider movie would be the sort of alternate reality, I guess, spin-off movie for Kikaider being Mechanical Violator Kikaider, which was just a really fun and badass movie that I've previously reviewed. Now, if you're a 90s kid, Kikaider's design might feel a bit familiar to you, due to the show VR Troopers, which much like Power Rangers took scenes and costumes from a tokusatsu series and made something entirely new with them for a Western audience. While not exactly Kikaider, the main character transforms into the Metal Hero character, Metalder, who was heavily inspired by Kikaider. And I'll get into the Metal Hero franchise sometime soon in the channel, as they are a really great and often sadly underlooked tokusatsu franchise. But lastly from Kikaider, we have The Boy Who Carried a Guitar OVA, which is also a crossover episode with Inazuman. This was a sort of bonus episode for the anime series, though it was never dubbed, which is sad as it serves as a really nice closure for Jiro's story. I find it a bit funny though that this was used in the Kikaider anime, since technically the whole concept of this episode is based off a chapter in the Inazuman manga, though it's handled a lot better in the anime as it gives a heavier focus on Jiro. Speaking of Inazuman, let's begin his part of the recommendation. Now, unlike Kikaider, Inazuman doesn't have a whole lot to get into outside of the original manga and tokusatsu series that aired alongside it. The manga will be the main focus of the recommendation, as I've seen very little of the toku, though it's worth noting that both are quite different from each other. I mean, first off, they both have different main characters, as in the toku, the main character is named Goro, but in the manga, it's Saburo. Even the stories are different, as in the tokusatsu series, it's once again a standard Monster of the Week format, whereas the manga is much more of a sci-fi action series, with battles mainly being against other psychics. Very little to do with actual monsters. And the Inazuman transformation is not used as much as one would think. Now, the manga follows Saburo, a perverted high schooler with a great untapped psychic power that becomes fully realized once he starts coming into contact with various other psychics who sense his great power. In order to defend himself, Saburo transforms into a cocoon-like form known as Sanagi-Man, and once enough energy is generated, bursts into the powerful being known as Inazuman. While I do recommend this series, I have to admit the story here is a bit messy at times. In the beginning, we're introduced to this team of psychics who seek help from Saburo to fight against an evil army of espers, but that plotline takes a backseat for a bit as Saburo gets into it with various other psychics around his town. Then we have this weird chapter of a kid from another dimension that's never really brought up again. And then finally we get into fighting against the evil esper army, which has a lot of cool and dark moments to be found within the final volume, though it does feel pretty rushed. While it definitely is messy, there is a lot of cool ideas here, along with some fun action thanks to the sort of unpredictability and variety of psychic powers. On top of that, there is some really great artwork here, and the whole Sanagi-Man to Inazuman concept is really cool when seeing it in action. Now, I'm no expert on comic design, but there is some really neat panel work to be found throughout this manga, which really stood out to me, which I guess should be saying something coming from someone who doesn't have that much knowledge on the subject. On an unrelated note, the more perverted nature here when compared to the other Ishinomori series I've read so far reminded me a bit of Go Nagai, which is interesting considering that Nagai once was an assistant for Ishinomori. Though I doubt he worked with Ishinomori during this manga, due to Nagai's very own influential career taking off during the time of the series. It's funny though, considering that many years later, Nagai would create his own psychic action series starring a perverted high schooler with Susanoo, which is different enough from Inazuman, but knowing the connection between these two icons, I can't help but wonder if Nagai was a bit inspired while writing that series. Overall, both Kikaider and Inazuman are fantastic classic superhero series that I think anyone interested in the superhero genre or even tokusatsu should check out at some point, as they are both notable works of one of the greatest superhero icons out there. And with that, I hope you check out these two series as well as enjoyed this video. As always, I am Mr. Falconpunch. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.